right. That was probably corny. I already see Jeremiah was like, watch them do a stupid April Fool's joke. Okay, you got us. We did a stupid April Fool's joke.
Actually, Jeremiah did have a good idea. Jackie's burning a LeBron jersey or something.
That's not even funny. That is not a joke I'm going to participate in. Absolutely not. You guys would have lost it though. Like, what is she doing? That probably would have been good.
That's so funny. Thanks for indulging us in our little April Fool's trickery, you guys. We had to celebrate the holiday. You know, we've been stuck in this pandemic for a while. We're working from home, and we have been for over a year now. And it's insane. Absolutely wild that it's been a year of us working from home. We haven't seen each other in person in a year. So we have to kind of lighten things up a little bit with silly, dumb little jokes. And we love it. I'm here for it. You guys, make sure, I didn't even get to do the normal greeting. Welcome to the Fumble Live. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, I got the full screen. Things are normal again. So today we are talking about, there's a little update on the KD and Michael Rapaport battle that we talked about yesterday. People are coming for KD now. We're also talking about JJ Redick and how he has a bone to pick with the New Orleans Pelicans Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, David Griffin. So we'll be getting into that in just a second. But before we do, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to do that. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. We're back.
What's up, everybody? Happy April Fool's Day. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
Now, Jackie, are there any April Fool's jokes that you plan on pulling later today, or was this the only one?
I used to be the queen of April Fool's jokes, so I just do a quick story time. One of the things I did in college to get through college is I was a police cadet, so I worked in the city jail in booking. So this guy came in, and he sounded exactly like my brother, so I made him do a collect call to my mom on April Fool's Day, and it said, "You have a collect call from inmate," and then he said my brother's name, and then you hear my mom on the other line going, "Oh my God, Jesus, oh God!" It was, after that, I was like, that's probably the best April Fool's joke I'm ever gonna do. Maybe I shouldn't do another one.
That actually is probably the best one I have ever heard. So good job on that. Also, our producer in the chat right now is saying Jackie has worked every job on the planet, and it's true. I feel like we mentioned the most random thing, and you're like, yeah, I used to do that back in, like,
right.
What the hell?
Yeah, I had a journey of but that's how I got through school. It was a full ride scholarship. So when you're a police cadet, they pay for all your school and your books. So it wasn't like it was just to get through school. It's a scholarship. So just to be clear.
Wow, that's awesome. In college, I worked as a barista at Coffee Bean and Tea. And I am too sensitive to that job because people get really mad before they've had their coffee. So it did not work out that well for me. You guys, let's jump into this news because I see that you guys are already talking about it in the chat. Chris A. Cristobal says that he personally dislikes cancel culture. I have to agree. I think cancel culture is getting way out of hand, and we're going to talk about how it's affecting Kevin Durant right now. So yesterday, we filled you in on that intense exchange between KD and Michael Rapaport. It was pretty heated. They were trash talking one another. Michael Rapaport was the one who ended up posting all of their DMs and messages in a public forum online, called out KD for some of the things that he had been saying. KD said stuff like, "Your wife doesn't respect you." He said that you're a B word, you're a P word, you are a pale, pasty, some bodily fluid guzzling B word, and a piece of shit. So there was a lot going on there. KD definitely did not hold back at all. And it all started because Michael Rapaport criticized KD in that post-game interview that KD did with Charles Barkley. Jackie showed us a clip of that yesterday. So it was like, I don't know, it seemed like it came out of nowhere for all of this to happen between the two of them. KD said that they trash talk one another like this all the time, and he's apologized to Mike for saying that. but people on Twitter seem to have had enough of KD. They were tweeting things like, Kevin Durant has lost his shit. These tweets coupled with his use of burner accounts to attack people with AIDS and gay people. He is a piece of shit in my book. What a racist, homophobic loser. After these tweets, the NBA better suspend his ass for real. There's another tweet here that I'm going to read. Leo, you can throw that one up there that says, good afternoon to everyone but Kevin Durant's homophobic ass. This one said, so where is the Kevin Durant cancel party, or where's the cancel Kevin Durant party, asking for a friend? This one actually defended KD and said, wait, people are trying to cancel Kevin Durant for being homophobic because he called Rapaport a blank guzzler. LMFAO, cancel culture is something else. And then another one said, oh, hey, look, Kevin Durant is homophobic and misogynistic. Feel pretty vindicated for him always having rubbed me the wrong way. So the NBA could issue some sort of, light discipline for Kevin Durant, especially because they have a precedent for punishing anti-gay rhetoric, which I actually think is a good thing. We don't want people using derogatory language. I do want to add, though, that first of all, if somebody uses the F word in a conversation, not the 4-letter F word, but the one that's homophobic, I always call it out. And I would if it was any other derogatory word, if it's the N word, if it's the K word that we heard whatever his name is, Myers Leonard used. I'll call that out because I don't think we should be using that kind of language. But I do want to say we only saw a snippet of these conversations, and Michael Rapaport happened to only share screenshots in which KD was doing all of the trash talking, and Michael's contributions to the conversation were pretty minimal or somewhat mild or non-existent at all. So I think that we are for sure seeing only one side of the story here, and I think that that's an important distinction to make here. It's also worth mentioning that Michael Rapaport is no angel. In fact, I remember one thing that he said about Ariana Grande. I don't know why this always really stood out to me because this came so out of left field, but he had a quote that said, Ariana Grande is 27 and acts 12. You take off those boots that she hides her legs in, the cat eye makeup, the genie ponytail, and I think there's hotter women working the counter at Starbucks. No disrespect to Starbucks. Shaming women for not wearing makeup, criticizing Ariana's look for absolutely no reason at all. So this is a guy, that's misogynistic. That's misogyny. So for people to come for KD for what he said over, to Michael Rapaport, I think it's time we also look at all of the controversies that Mike himself has got into. So that is my little rant on that. Now, Jackie, let's talk to you. Does KD deserve to be canceled or even mildly dragged for what he said to Michael Rapaport using homophobic slurs and things like that?
Well, first of all, let me say this, and I'm hoping I don't get... Nothing he said was homophobic. This reminds me of a little bit of what Little Mama said in her Instagram, and people drug her and they wanted to cancel her culture. And she said she wanted to create like a heterosexual movement or something stupid. I can't remember exactly what it was, but her point is people say anything, the most random thing, and all of a sudden the LGBTQ plus community comes after you because they've decided it's homophobic. Whether it is or if it isn't, doesn't matter. They decide that it is, and now it is what it is. This was just Kevin Durant doing an insult. Not one thing he said in this rant was homophobic by any stretch of the imagination. And again, this is kind of proving her point. You guys have decided it is, and therefore it's just whatever. This was just a good old fashioned insult. If you watch comedy, it's called roasting, and that's all it is. There's nothing homophobic in this. There's nothing racist in this. And if you guys don't know who Michael Rapaport is, you should be able to say he deserved every piece of this flaying that he got, because he gets on his Instagram. I despise this man. He can't even complete a three-word sentence without two of them being curse words. So he is very vulgar in the things that he says. He's very irate. He's very over the top in everything that he says. So I think he very much deserved an over the top response to his over the top antics. So I 100% am on KD's side. I don't think there should be any discipline for him whatsoever. Again, though, back to Little Mama's point, there probably will be, because this is the community that has decided something homophobic was said. So now you got to save face, and now you probably have to issue some sort of fine. what it didn't actually exist, though. I just want to be clear on that. No, nothing homophobic was actually said at all. So I don't think he should be fined at all. I think people should really do their research on who Michael Rapaport is and then give KD a standing ovation for calling him out. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that when you read that, it's not an openly homophobic phrase or slur that we saw. I mean, I think there are homophobic undertones in using that specific blank guzzling whatever he said. Wow, it's really difficult to talk about this and not be able to actually say those words.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that the cancel culture, like that, just the whole thing with cancel culture is going too far. I don't think KD necessarily needs to be canceled for this. He did also comment on Michael's Instagram post and said, "My bad, I apologize." It seems like he's maybe attempting to extend an olive branch. I'm sure he didn't expect all of this backlash and controversy to come out of this. So yeah,
I do not like the apology because, again, you don't say, obviously you don't like Michael Rapaport. And let me just say again, that dislike that he has for Michael Rapaport is warranted. Now, if he's telling the truth and they go back and forth like this all the time, there's still a level of disdain that Kevin Durant has for Michael Rapaport. I said what I said. You decided to put that out there in public, so now this is what it is. I might issue an apology to the public. I might say something to the effect of, if you guys were offended by this private conversation, I'm sorry you had to see it, but I'm not apologizing to Michael Rapaport. I said what I said, and I meant what I said as far as you're concerned. For those of you who are going to say, oh, you're supposed to be a role model, what about our kids? Okay, I'm sorry you can't raise your kid properly on your own, and now they're looking to me. So I apologize that this is out there like that, but that's as far as my apology is going to go. I'm not apologizing to Michael. He deserves it, Rapaport. No, I'm not.
All right, I'm going to jump into the next story. The chat is getting real mad. I don't know what you guys are all so angry about, but relax. Take a chill pill, my friends. It's not that serious. Jeez. Also, okay, actually, yeah, let's get into the next update. JJ Redick. So JJ Redick spoke out against David Griffin, who is the executive vice president of basketball operations with the New Orleans Pelicans. And he said that he was completely shocked to be traded to the Mavericks. He had requested a trade in November to be closer to his family in Brooklyn during COVID. And he thought that the Pelicans would offer a buyout after the trade. Apparently, JJ revealed that David Griffin had told him to come down for a month and that if he wasn't satisfied, he would, quote, get you to a situation that you like. And then when he wasn't traded by that point, he did expect a buyout or to be traded to a team in the Northeast so that he could be closer to his family. And instead, he was traded to Dallas without being consulted. So this was his direct quote. JJ said, "I don't think you're going to get honesty from that front office. Objectively speaking, that's not an opinion. I just don't think you're going to get that. I don't think what happened with me is necessarily an isolated incident. I think front offices around the league operate in their best interests. I get that. I understand that. And we've talked about that before. But truthfully, I think I was a little naive thinking I was in year 15 and I attempted to do things right throughout my career. But in terms of this front office, yeah, it's not something where I would expect. It's not something where I would expect certainly the agents who worked on this with me to ever trust that front office again." Do you feel that JJ has a right to be mad here? Do you think that the rug was truly pulled out from underneath him? What's your reaction?
I think it was Robert Covington that said he was sitting somewhere getting a haircut, scrolling through Instagram when he saw he was traded. So we've seen people find out on the bus. Again, him saying this to me is so entitled. It's a level of entitlement. It's a level of he thinks he deserves whatever because of whatever reason. But it's definitely a level of entitlement because how are you in the NBA and you don't know all these other stories that we've talked about, but somehow you, JJ Redick, because your child is in kindergarten, you deserve special treatment that nobody else has gotten. I remember when they traded Isaiah, and Isaiah was literally in his kitchen and had barely unpacked from his last trade when he found out he was traded again. But somehow JJ Redick and his family is supposed to mean more because why? Because you've been with that franchise for 15 years. Look, this is what happens when you don't read. This is what happens when you don't care about a narrative outside of your little bubble. You are not special, sir. I'm sorry that you think you were, and I'm sorry that you had to be awakened in this manner to now you want to publicly say, hey, you can't trust New Orleans for being exactly like every other franchise in the league. I'm sorry that you got hurt in this way because you don't pay attention to everything else that has happened to just about everybody except for you. But welcome to the NBA, sir. That's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, where it seems like a front office makes a promise to. I mean, even the Deshaun Watson situation, not the most recent updates, but you know, he felt like they made a promise to him, and then when they walk back on their promise, he feels a little bit betrayed. And so I do understand that, but I also think that even when you go into that kind of agreement with the people at the top who are making all of those big decisions, there has to be a part of you that remembers it may not pan out the way you want. So I guess I do understand why JJ was a little bit like upset. You know, I think maybe a phone call prior to being traded would have been a nice option for him, considering the conversation that they had. But ultimately, front offices do operate in their own best interest, and they can't keep all of the players happy, and they can't keep, you know, make all of these individual promises. But do you think, Jackie, that it's time for front offices and people who work in the front offices to stop making these kinds of promises to their players if they don't have any intention of following through?
If they don't have any intentions of following through, obviously, yeah, don't make a promise that you have no intentions of keeping. But I don't think it always happens like that. I think sometimes, I'm sure he meant what he said when he was like, we'll get you to a situation that you like. He probably had every intention. I don't have any reason to believe that at the moment that was said, there wasn't a level of sincerity that came with that. What probably happened is, I meant that at this moment, but here, nothing that actually worked for me. Yes, some situations that came in to play probably would work for you, but they didn't work for me. And it's not his job to make sure that JJ gets what works for him, but the Pelicans don't. That's not his job. His job is to make sure that the Pelicans get what they need going forward. So whatever promise, so maybe the caveat to that is don't make any promises at all, even if you do have the best intentions, because your best intentions might not actually come to fruition, and now you have to walk it back. Because now it's like, yeah, I told you this, but nothing that works for us came up so I could do that for you. So now we have to do this, which is probably why he didn't get a phone call, because there was probably a level of, damn, you know, I told him I would get him to a situation that he liked, but this is just what it is now, you know? So there was probably a level of, I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, obviously, but that could be, you know, what happened. But at the end of the day, I would implore every player to really realize that these franchises, outside of what they're contractually obligated to you for, they don't owe you anything else outside of that, including your feelings. So you just need to figure out how to work around that on your own terms and not feel like you are entitled to something just because your kid is about to start kindergarten. I understand that you as a father want to be close to your kid. We've seen people, especially in the NFL, decide that family means more and they've quit. If that's where you are with it, that's an option for you. But otherwise, you need to stay out your feelings and realize this is what comes with being a professional athlete, especially when you don't have the star power of like a Kawhi or a LeBron James, where you get to dictate where you go. This is how it goes. So figure out how you need to deal with that. Call a therapist if need be, but figure it out.
Or maybe it's time to retire. Like if you want to stay close to your family and that's what's important, I respect that 100%. But then you can't expect the teams and trades and the NBA to work with you on that. I agree with that. Juicy Pickles in the chat, also very funny name, says, yeah, he says JJ Redick is so entitled. There was another comment in here. Wade says JJ shouldn't be mad at this. It happens all the time. It comes to the jobs. He's not the first and won't be the last. It's just how the teams move. And Analytical says the Pels can't ignore a good offer. He has no business expecting them to take a loss when they have a player that someone wants. And then Kevin says JJ feels like he deserves respect. He should have put a clause in his contract. True, he should have put a clause in his contract. But I will say, I think that if a promise was made, a phone call would have been nice to say, hey, I know I said I was going to do that, but I can't anymore. So this is what's happening. I do think that level of courtesy and just like human decency should be expected. But of course, we see that that doesn't happen all the time. So I understand why JJ's mad. I don't know that it needs to be something that he comes out on his podcast to say and criticize. But he seems to feel that it was enough of a betrayal that that agents who have worked with that front office wouldn't want to do that again. They don't trust that front office. So what's your take on that comment that he made? Do you believe him when he says that the agents who have had to work with the Pelicans front office are like unable to trust them and wouldn't want to work with them again?
This is not about, look, business isn't about trust. You probably shouldn't trust. That's the first thing my dad taught me. You really shouldn't trust anybody until you see the ink on the paper. I've done that countless times. People have offered me a job and they said, oh, have you given your 2 weeks notice? Have you given me my offer letter? No, I have not. I don't trust you until the ink is signed. This is literally the mighty pen is what you need to wait on. And so to say you can't trust a situation, that's very naive in thinking that you can take somebody at their word in a league where there's always moving parts. So again, what I say today, even if that is 100% what I believe today, if somebody puts on something on the table for me tomorrow, that is way more beneficial for me, then I'm taking that. And if that means you can't trust me, then that means you don't understand business. It's about business. Yes, I agree with you. I should call you and say, hey, sorry, I couldn't, but this came up. But either way, you're going to feel how you feel. You're going to say, yeah, but you told me this. I understand I told you that, but this is what it is now, and this is why I'm doing this. But people are still going to be like, it shouldn't matter that this is better for you. You said you were going to do something that was good for me, and now I'm not getting that. So I'm going to feel how I feel regardless, which is why I'm like, yeah, it might be nice to give that phone call, but I know who I am personally. I'd probably have my assistant do it because I just don't want to hear you crying about, oh, you told me. I know what I told you. But things change. There's always moving parts in this. So I think to try to slander an organization and kind of put a bug in agents' ears like, hey, be careful, I think the agents would know better. They understand that there's always moving parts. And I don't think you should try to slander somebody else's next move because you didn't get the move that you wanted. I think it shows a lack of knowledge of how business works, and it shows a level of entitlement that I don't think you understand. You look like an entitled person who's going to just whine if you don't get what you want. That's what you look like right now, regardless of your pure intent of saying, hey, I'm just putting out this warning. You're putting out a warning because you didn't get what you want. That's entitlement, period. So you look bad to me, but, that's just me.
Yeah, I do think, and people in the chat agree with you because it does seem a bit of an entitlement there. So I agree with you guys on that. But that wraps up Need to Know News. So Jackie, I am ready for the post up.
Yes. If you guys have got your little typing fingers ready, I just want to hear what you guys have to say about this next one, because yesterday I told you I was not mad at what Stephen A. Smith had to say about Russell. I get it. He made a long kind of rant, not even a rant. It was more of a dissertation about, what Nina and Russ had to say about him and regarding what he said yesterday. And I actually really like what he said. He gave Nina a lot of accolades, said she played at UCLA, so obviously she understands basketball. She's a businesswoman, a therapist, very educated woman. He also said that if he ever gets married, the way that Nina stepped up and defended Russ is exactly what he wants in a woman. So he gave a lot of accolades to Nina and Russ, but I 100% respect him for doubling down and saying, I said what I said and I meant what I said. So take a look.
Respectfully, it does not matter to me. I stand by everything that I said yesterday. And what I would ask her, and I would ask Russell Westbrook, I would ask friends of Russell Westbrook's, teammates, contemporaries of Russell Westbrook, people in the NBA community or whatever. I would ask everybody to go back and look specifically at what I've said about Russell Westbrook, not just yesterday, but his track record. What did I say about his track record? This is a sensational athlete, the most athletic point guard in the history of basketball, destined for the Hall of Fame. I said all of those things, but you've come up short.
And I can't argue that. And I think if Russ was really honest with himself, he can't argue that. He's not trying to detract from Russell the man. He's not trying to say that Russell the basketball player even isn't a phenomenal basketball player and he's not a phenomenal man. What he's saying is you've come up short. And what are we going to do to change that? So I implore you to go watch the whole thing. But I love Stephen A for this. I loved how he said, hey, I said what I said. I meant what I said. I'm not attacking you as a person. That's not what I'm doing. And if you think I'm doing that, check my history, guy, because I've been pulling for you and giving you accolades upon accolades. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying in this moment, you out here breaking these records, what is it amounted to? And I think that is a fair question. So I think this user, though, misses that point as well. He says, you're not responding to what Westbrook said. You're responding to what you want to hear. Westbrook said his legacy isn't about championships. I'll break that down for you, Stephen A. Smith. A championship doesn't define who he is as a man or a player. Actually listen before you respond. And so I think this is maybe the same kind of mindset that Russ and Nina had when they listened to what Stephen A. was saying. Stephen A. didn't say that Russell doesn't have a legacy. He didn't say that he's not a champion as a man and a human being and a father and as a person who is helping build for his community. He's saying as an NBA player, he's not a champion. They are two different things. They can mutually exist at the same time, and it's two different points. So, for the first time in a very long time, I am very, very proud of Stephen A. Smith in this moment and saying what he said and meaning what he said. And I don't have anything else to say about that. Devin, do you have anything to add? I saw you in the chat say he was so serious because he usually is all over the place. He's very serious in this moment. But I think that he's that serious right now in this moment because of the respect that he has for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I just always think we see that serious Stephen A. come out every once in a while. And to me, it is always so funny when he gets like that because his voice changes, his inflection changes, the pacing of his speech changes. And I just find it really, really funny when he does that. But, you know, I really respected what Nina and Russell had to say. I think that especially how Russell said he already is a champion because he was able to get out of the situation that he grew up in and have this successful career in the NBA. Making it into the NBA was a win in itself. And I think that that's a really great and valuable thing to say. And I think it means a lot. And it really hit home for me. Of course, Stephen A. is entitled to his opinion. I think what I still have a problem with is that, you know, Russ had that history-making night. It was a great game. He put on a solid performance. I don't understand why it needs to then be, instead of just saying like, wow, that was very impressive, great job, you know, now let's hope you can get a ring next time. I don't understand why it had to be, that didn't mean anything to me because, you know, it's still not enough. That's kind of what I thought was problematic with what Stephen A. initially said. Like, just take a step back and recognize a job well done. So, I mean, I think that Stephen A. is great for standing by what he said, and I don't have a problem with the points that he was trying to make. I just think it was the manner in which he made it, taking this celebratory moment and just kind of trying to take away from it and being like, but you still haven't done this. You know, I just kind of felt like it was a little bit pointless.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and I've seen a lot of people say something similar, but my thing was I felt a similar way, probably would have never voiced it because I love Russell so much, right? So, but you've accomplished this with the Washington, you know what I mean? It's like, what? Okay, now what? We know that franchise isn't going anywhere, so congratulations, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's just a weird kind of shoulder shrug to me because even when I saw it, I was like, that's dope, but it's with Washington. So what am I supposed to do with this information now, you know? So I get both sides of it. I respect, 100% respect Nina and Russell, obviously, because I love them to death. And again, Nina, I think I would have done the same thing. Like, you're just not going to be up here. I would have had your sentiments with my husband, probably not now because I can take a step back from it and I can see it for what it is and say, okay, I can see both sides of this coin. But if he was my husband, oh no, I'm definitely going to Instagram and I'm going to let you know. What you're not going to do is be coming from my husband when he just accomplished this great feat. That's not what we're doing. So I definitely get both sides of that. But again, I think that Stephen A. does have a lot of respect for Russ. It just, you know, he's just over him not winning, and I get that. But let's move on to this next one because this next one I'm going to tread very, very lightly on you guys right now because I don't have any room to talk as a Laker fan. I just don't. I don't know if you guys saw the Laker game last night, but it was sad, to say the least. So I'm not trying to clown. I just want y'all to see, even though I'm not going to talk, the sounds that are coming from this Clipper game, they're doing all the talking for me. So take a listen to how loud they lost this game.
Kawhi for the tie. Man with the rebound. Sends it back out to Jackson for the tie. Up for grabs. Loose ball taken by Leonard. And taken back by Carter Williams. And punctuates the finish for Orlando. 101-96.
I feel like they put a mic or something right next. Why was that so loud? People miss shots like that all the time. That was really loud. Devin, what did you think?
I said it was very loud. It was just like, it was almost like they emphasized that doink.
Right.
It was so weird. But yeah, I don't know watching that, it's just like frustrating. Like, it looks like a video game almost. Not like a 2K video game, but I mean like like a Nintendo 64 video game from like 1998.
It's so loud. I was like, this is ridiculous. Says, why are we talking about the Clippers and you're a Lakers fan knowing y'all gonna get all... Okay, first of all, we don't know that. That's number one. Number two, I started that with, I'm not going to talk bad about them right now. Given the horrible display that we did last night, I didn't do any talking. The Rims did it. So let me just put that out there. But let's move on to this next one because I did not expect this. I have to say, when I thought James Harden and his reunion, so to speak, with Houston, I did not think it was going to be any love lost on either side of the situation, but clearly I was wrong. Take a look.
Attitude-based, it has not been effort-based. Just said that you go through some of those things over the course of a season. James Harden sharing a moment with Stephen Silas, who was his head coach very briefly before the...
So he goes over, acknowledges Stephen Silas, and the rest of the coaching staff over there, gives him a hug. It did kind of make me lean my head to the side a little bit, and it wasn't just me. Nobody on Twitter is buying this right now at all. So I'm gonna show you some tweets of what people are saying. This one says, "You fake and you phony," and okay, I mean, I can't argue that. Another user had a similar thought process. Actually, all these guys did. Says, "F him, he laid down on them," and then, "Sorry, I threw you under the bus," is probably what he said to Stephen Silas. And then this last person said, that's that fake love. So there was a side of me that was like, no, that could be real. But then you don't say the things that you said about Houston before you left. You don't absolutely quit on him. That first tweet on that string was right. He basically laid down on him and was like, I'm not going to give you guys any effort at all. I kind of agree. This is fake love, but I know I'm usually the pessimist. So I'm going to go to the optimist. Devin, is this fake love or is this real?
Leo, let's roll the clip one more time. Let me get a good hard look at what's happening. I want to really get a good idea.
Right.
Let's play it.
It's coming. He's going to April Fools on us. He's like, you guys are just going to sit there and wait.
Yeah, it's awkward. Anyway.
Attitude-based, it has not been effort-based. You just said that you go through some of those things over the course of a season. James Harden sharing a moment with Stephen Silas, who was his head coach very briefly before the...
I think there's a respect there. I don't think I would say it's all good, but I think there's a respect there. There's a level of courtesy. I don't know. I'm not optimistic that it's like, oh, all love, no hard feelings, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's respect. It was a good move. I don't know.
All right. I don't know. I thought it was fake as hell, but Devin has spoken and she's the optimist. So I think we'll just go with the optimist view right now because it just makes the world a better place. But I did watch a little bit of that game and I have an idea what John Wall is saying. I think it's one of two things, but he actually was talking some sort of trash to just about everybody. So take a look. Let me show you this clip.
At the starting point guard position, John Wall's been talking to anyone that walks on by from Brooklyn, Jeff Green, Kyrie Irving included.
So he was talking to everybody. Now, right before this exchange, Kyrie had gone down and did what looked like was going to be a Euro step. And then right when he goes for the basket, he tosses it off to, I can't even remember who, but then they sink the 3-point shot. It was the most insane, most beautiful pass I had seen in a very long time. So this came shortly after that. So at first I thought maybe John Wall was like, oh, I saw you. You think you all that or whatever. But then I saw Kyrie's face. And then I think what John Wall was saying is, oh, so how does it feel to have to build this super team just to be relevant? And I feel like Kyrie was saying, how about you get out here and actually be able to play kind of thing. But Devin, what do you think they were saying?
You know, I always have a very hard time imagining what people are saying when they are doing these little back and forths. But Jackie, I feel like you were spot on with that. I think that was the most accurate, and it makes so much sense watching that clip back. Yeah, for sure. It was something about that.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's a legitimate beef when you're sitting on the sideline and y'all got this whole freaking Thanos and company. Thanos had a crew too, y'all. Let's not forget that. But that's basically what the Brooklyn Nets are right now. Is Thanos and his little minions. It's crazy. So I think that's what John Wall was saying, because John Wall had the smile on his face and Kyrie did not. Oh, Donnie gave us $5. Thank you so much. He said the only reason he did that is because he's on the winning side of the trade. He wouldn't have that energy if the tables were turned. I'm assuming he's talking about
Kyrie.
I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know. Is he talking about Kyrie or is he talking about? I don't know.
I don't know.
Who are you talking about, Donnie? Are you talking about JJ? Who are you talking about right now? Let us know.
Yeah,
all right, but I'm actually confused. I don't know which one. All right, but we'll get on to this next one right now because Steven. All right, so Steph was actually in college at 19. He wasn't like LeBron, who was in the league at 18, and he wasn't like James Wiseman, who's in the league at 19. So I loved him taking this moment and explaining the difference. Take a look.
Stephen, when you watch James at age 19, and if you ever think back to when you were 19 and what would you be doing and consider what he's doing and how good it is?
No, 1,000%. I was searching for frat parties at Davidson right about now. We would just lost to Buffalo lost to Maryland in Buffalo into a tournament. And around this time, 2007, I was doing a lot of different things. So this is a amazing opportunity. Obviously, it's a big responsibility. This is the beginning of a long, long career for him. And he's got to just embrace the process of, what it means to establish yourself as an NBA player.
I still think that Steph is so grounded, so level-headed, and he is young. James Wiseman is very, very young, and having Steph there, I love that they can work together. And I just feel like Steph is going to be the guy that kind of mentors him and makes sure that he understands that you are young, you're in this professional setting. There's going to be some things that you want to do as a 19-year-old that might not be beneficial to you, especially if the public gets a hold of it. So I think this is a great look. I love Steph comparing the difference between I was looking for frat parties and he has the responsibility of being in the NBA. It's totally different. Love Steph for addressing that, but that's just who Steph is, so I'm not surprised at that at all. Okay, so we don't have nobody on the Lakers. I see y'all trying to talk trash. You can't talk trash to us at this point. We know who we are. We know what we have, or should I say, don't have. This lower third, I could have been mad at, but in all honesty, what else was it supposed to say? Giannis versus Schroeder. What else is it supposed to say? Maybe I would have wanted to have Alex Caruso on there because, he's a fan favorite for the Lakers. But Alex Caruso has been out here for single digits for like the last 6 games. So we can't put his face up there. I'm not mad at this. I know Kyle Kuzma would have wanted it to be Kyle Kuzma, but maybe they didn't have a picture that has the hair. I don't know. But Devin, are you mad at this picture? I'm not mad at this picture at all.
No, I guess I can't be that mad at it. I'm laughing at something I put in the chat. I said it's not the Caruso right now. Caruso. Love that.
The thing is like I watched the game last night and it was terrible to watch. Marc Gasol was throwing interceptions out here like he's a quarterback. Markieff played really well. But then Andre Drummond, who was supposed to be, he's like the best rebounder in the league. He went out by half, only pulled down 1 rebound, and he had to leave because apparently his toenail is falling off. We are in so much trouble right now. I can't even, it's like, every time I feel like this, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, if they had put Kuz on there instead of Dennis, it would have, I think that Laker Nation would have been even angrier about that. People, like, nobody would want to see. I'm sure, Kuz probably would have loved if it was him, but nobody else would have been happy about that.
No, and the reason why is because this is the moment that Kyle Kuzma won it. Kyle Kuzma, I believe it was last year or the year before, one of them, he said that, if I go anywhere else, I'm a starter. Okay, now you're in this moment in time where AD's out, LeBron's out, you can really step up and be that person. But he was out there missing rebounds, taking shots that he shouldn't have taken, getting slow to return back on defense. Nothing that I saw from Kyle Kuzma last night indicates to me that he's seizing this moment, number one, or really could be a starter anywhere else, number two. So yeah, we would have lost it. I would have lost it. I would have started my own protesting campaign to get Kyle Kuzma off of all lower thirds. That sounds like such a weird protest, but I would have created said protest. But let's go on to this next one, because I'm gonna try to tell you guys this again, because nobody listens to me. When you are filming you running in an effort to show that you are fast, do not do it from the front. I don't care if you're running a million miles. Flash Gordon is going to look slow from the front. You got to go from the side. But trust me when I tell you, Kyle Pitts from Florida, he's going to be a tight end. He's fast. He ran a 40 in 4.44 seconds. Take a look. Let me tell you something. If I am a recruiter, just him running in that moment, my eyes are on Kyle right now, because he's big. He's got the stature. He looks like he's agile from what I saw from the rest of his pro day. He is going to be a really dope tight end, I believe. This user thinks the same thing. Let me show you this tweet really quick. Now, I do have one problem with this tweet, though. But he says, I have Pitts rated number 1 on my board. Can line up all over the field. Athletic build, but very physical. Will need to continue to develop on blocking, which I think he can get that easily based on his stature. With the right system, he will blossom into a Pro Bowl tight end / wide receiver by year 3. If you got him number 1 on your board, I need that timeline to shrink to maybe year 2. I get what you're saying, because I feel like that first year is always a learning year. But from what I saw on his pro day, his athleticism, I'm going to say, especially if you have him in number 1 on your leaderboard, put that at year 2, because this guy is going in there in beast mode already. So if you haven't been checking out the pro days, go check it out. Shout out to Kyle Pitts, because I didn't know he was that fast. And this draft class is stupid fast. What are y'all eating? Because I don't remember this is the fastest draft class I've seen in a minute. This is crazy to me. But let's move on to this next one, because I know I'm going to have to toss this one over to Devin, because y'all know this is not my wheelhouse. This kind of drama is not my wheelhouse. Aside from me knowing that I don't like anyone involved in this situation, don't know a lot about it. So let me just break this down to you. So Shaq Lawson has a baby mama. Y'all know he plays for the Patriots. Apparently, her baby daddy tried to get with Tiana Trump, who I guess is a porn star of some sort. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I think she's a porn star, and he DM'd her saying something to the effect that he wanted to make her his girlfriend. So his baby mama, Jen, stepped in to seize this moment to call her man trash, which is why I don't like her, because I just don't feel like even if your man is an idiot, he was probably an idiot when you slept with him. So don't call him an idiot now, because that just makes you look stupid. But, that's just me. But now she's posting all this on her story to basically call him out. So in this one, she says, my baby daddy is so embarrassing and wants clout so bad. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. Then her next one said, don't let IG fool you. He's weird AF in person. But you had a baby with him, though. Okay, let's go on. And he doesn't take care of his kid, but that's besides the point. Someone sent him this since I'm blocked. I moved across the country for my daughter's dad to be in her life, and I still get blamed for him not being a dad. Some men are just sorry. That is true. Some men are just sorry. But usually they're sorry before you sleep with them. This is her and her baby. We could argue who was chasing who for clout and how that worked out. But just because a guy plays in the NBA or in the NFL, ladies, it does not mean that he's not going to be a sorry man. And he was probably weird before you slept with him. So maybe take it, I don't know, chance to get to know him. I don't know. Devin, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, well, first of all, Instagram does not accidentally upload stuff to your Insta story. So Tiana Trump really just wanted that information out there. She very conveniently posted that picture with his message right there. So it's very obvious what her intention was in doing that. Yes, I do think that a lot of these athletes are weird, and these women should probably know that before they decide to have their babies. But I think that it is very tempting for women who don't want to have to do much to get pregnant with an athlete's baby so that they can just be set for life. It happens all the time, and I still think though that once that baby is born, the dad needs to step up to the plate and be there regardless of what the circumstances were beforehand, regardless of what the intention was in getting pregnant, because that baby is there. That baby needs a dad, needs a happy life. So that's my take on it. I actually am not super familiar with their whole drama and their story. I just know that Tiana Trump was definitely trying to start some drama there.
Oh, I'm sure she was. But that's the thing. And I've said this before, when you try to get this anchor baby, when you try to anchor yourself into some man's money with this anchor baby, you might be anchoring yourself into drama. And I just don't feel sorry for you now. So you're trying to put him on blast. But what I really see is you mess with a dude who you knew was weird, but you mess with him anyway. So you the fool, not him. But, I feel you on the whole, now the baby's here. But if he was a trash person before you had the baby, is he all of a sudden supposed to be this pillar of the community after you have the baby? That doesn't make any sense. So that's just my thoughts on the situation. But okay, whatever. Let's get into this next one because Adam says she looks like Larsa Pippen. Does she?
A little tiny bit.
Can we put her back up real quick? I want to see. Maybe a young version of Larsa Pippen. Okay,
a little bit.
I see it for sure. That baby is a doll, though.
So cute.
Yes, I love that little baby. Okay, let's get into this because I have questions. I'm sure you guys have answers. We're going to get into this, what we not going to do. So Nikola Jokic, he is the Nuggets leading scorer, which I'm still, when you have Jamal Murray over there, I'm still surprised by that. But he is averaging over 21 points per game. He has the most rebounds on the team and the most assists, which is, he's so slow. So sometimes that's a little weird to me to say that he has the most, whatever. Because he moves pretty slow. So I love this, though. I love that he is in the forefront of a lot of these conversations. People are saying that since he is carrying the Nuggets, that means that he should probably be leading the conversation about MVP the way that LeBron was leading the conversation for MVP when he was carrying the Cavs. I don't disagree with that narrative entirely. I still think that LeBron James should be leading that conversation, but y'all know that's just me. So let's just be fair. That's just me. But I do think it's kind of true because when you look at the 2016 Cavs, LeBron was leading in every single stat except for rebounds. Kevin Love was leading in rebounds. Joker right now is leading in everything. He's leading in points. He's leading in assists. He's leading in rebounds. He's leading in everything. So he is obviously the reason why the Nuggets are still relevant right now. So there's not much of a difference though. I think he's averaging almost 30 points a game. Jamal is averaging like 26 points a game. So when LeBron was with the Cavs, he was averaging the most points. Kevin Love was like 10 points away. So he's got a little bit more help, in my opinion, than LeBron had in 2016. But nonetheless, he is still the center point for that team. And I love that for him. Like I said, he's a little slow sometimes, but even with that, he's dominating and he's very good at what he does. He's figured out a way to be really good at what he does, and he's killing the game right now. And I'm just excited for him because I remember reading an article, I believe it was in 2018, that said he would be the leader of the Nuggets. The Nuggets would only go as far as he would take them. And so he's had this kind of weight on his shoulders since 2018. And then you remember he came in third for Rookie of the Year in the 2015-16 season. So he's been on this journey for a minute, and I am really excited to see him flourish and his name be in these MVP conversations. I think that's exactly where his name should be. And I do think he is the center point of the Nuggets. And I think sometimes people forget what MVP means. When you say MVP, just so we're clear, it's most valuable player. That means if you are not playing for that team, we're not talking about that team is not going to be the same without you, which is why I think LeBron should always be in MVP conversations, because the second he's not around, it changes the entire dynamic for whatever team he's on. That's just who LeBron is. So he should always be in that conversation. But you take Joker off the floor for Denver. Denver's probably, maybe they're looking to get a play in, but they're not what, fourth in the West right now? They're not there. So for me, do I think that Joker should win MVP? I'm not there yet, because I also think that Damian Lillard is owed an MVP. I think he has been overlooked and disrespected too many times. And I think that with all that he's done, he is the man. He is the man. Without him, they're not doing anything over there. So for me, it goes to Dame Dollar. But the Nuggets are fifth in the West, right? Yeah, they're fifth in the West. And that is entirely because of Joker. But then you have to, when I say yes, I think that LeBron should be in the contention for MVP. I still kind of mean that, but I still feel like I have to keep my word consistent. So while I do think LaMelo Ball should be in contention for Rookie of the Year, once you miss a bunch of games, it's really kind of hard to say, yes, that's where you should be, because you're missing so many games, and now there's other guys that are still putting up numbers and things that you can't put up. LeBron is going to miss a huge part of the season now, and he's going to be probably only coming back around right before or during playoffs. So I think that kind of limits how much emphasis even I would give him to be in the contention for MVP. So then if you break that down, then it has to go to who do you think it should be? And I think it should be between Joker and Damian Lillard. But Damian Lillard wins it for me because he's averaging almost 30 points a game and 8 assists. And without him, the Trailblazers would be nothing. They're sixth in the West right now. So they're still right there where they're in the playoffs. But without him, I don't even think they're in the play-in. That's just me. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that, but I think it's time to give Damian Lillard what he's due. This man has been out here killing the game, and we hear commentators like Stephen A. Smith all the time say stuff like, oh, that's just what he does. Oh, yeah, he did, he got this clutch shot. That's what he does. Oh, yeah, he showed up in the fourth quarter and got the Trailblazers over that hump and won the game for him, but that's just what he does. I don't know why we're just like shooing that off like that's not an amazing thing. So what we're not going to do is pretend that, yes, Joker is definitely the center point for the Denver Nuggets. He is the most valuable player on that team. Damian Lillard is the most valuable player on his team. So in my opinion, if one of those two men do not win, although obviously I want it to be Dame Dollar, but if one of those two men do not win MVP, the whole thing is rigged to me. I see y'all in the chat. Y'all say Luka. Luka's my baby goat. So I'm not mad at y'all for saying that, but when you look at what I just talked about with Joker, what I just talked about with Damian Lillard, it has to go to one of those two men. And if it doesn't, then that's when you have to really be like, okay, this is just like the popularity contest that is never going to actually be valid. And that bothers me. I know we've talked about this on the show a lot. MVP should be something that you aspire to because you know it's real. You know it has merit. You know that they're actually looking at the game, not just who's popular or things of that nature. So to make sure that this has validity for me, it needs to be Joker or Dame Dollar. Devin, I'm going to go to you. Do you have any thoughts on who should win outside of LeBron? But like I said, because he's going to be out of the game so long, I can't really, in good faith, put him in this conversation. So do you have any thoughts on who should win the GOAT conversation or the MVP conversation?
I think that Dame definitely deserves it. I think that it is time that he gets that recognition. And like you said, he's having a stellar year. He is a very consistent player, always puts up, like you said, 30 points per game. I mean, it's just pretty remarkable what he's been able to do. And I would be thrilled if he was able to walk away with MVP. Yeah, of course, I want LeBron. And honestly, I think LeBron being out shows, exactly how much he is the most valuable player on the Lakers because, without him there, the team is obviously not doing as well. So I think as much as I wish LeBron would get it, if he doesn't, I think that I would be super happy to see Dame get it. 100%.
I see Tommy in the chat. He said Harden should win. To be honest, look at his numbers. So if I don't really recall seeing you here a lot, Tommy. So I'm just gonna let you know right now. I have always been pulling for James Harden to get the MVP. That's just my guy in that area. I think he has been overlooked. I think when Giannis won it the second time, it should have been James Harden. James Harden cannot be in this conversation this year. And I'm going to tell you why, because, again, of what happened in Houston, number one, if he'd have stayed in Houston, then maybe we could still have that conversation. But now you're on the Brooklyn Nets. Nobody from Brooklyn can win most valuable player because we've seen if KD goes out, the Nets are fine. If Kyrie goes out, the Nets are fine. If James Harden goes out, the Nets are fine. Most valuable player means that when you are not on the court, your team is drastically affected in some way. So nobody from Brooklyn, in my opinion, can be considered for MVP here too and forevermore. So just know that.
That's a good point. Because when you look at James Harden as an individual player, yeah, and Jackie really has been rooting for him to get MVP forever. So to hear you say that now, it's like it holds a lot of weight because, yeah, we are seeing that it doesn't really matter if KD is in or if James is in because the team still does really, really well. So how could one of them out of that, 3-person matchup be or like I want to say dynamic trio, but that's not as catchy as dynamic duo. But with one of them out, like it doesn't change much for the team because they still do well. So how can you name one of them a single MVP? So very interesting conversation here. I would love to see Dame walk away with MVP, but we'll see what happens with all of that, you guys. For now, let's wrap up this show. Have a great April Fool's Day. Pull some jokes on some friends, pull some pranks on some friends or family members, and then let us know how they turned out tomorrow in the chat. Jeremiah Smith, we are waiting for your video of you running because you said that you were faster than Kyle. So Jeremiah says he is speedier than that guy that you showed us, Jackie. So
when you do the video, Jeremiah, don't speed it up because they can do that and go on their phone and then speed it up by like 1.5. We will know. Just telling you, don't do that. Because you'll be like,
okay, so we'll look forward to that tomorrow, Jeremiah. We'll put it in the show if you get it to us. So exciting stuff. Lots to look forward to. We'll see you at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. You guys don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.